Hi, Tony. Ron Counts for the Charlottesville Daily Progress. I'm curious about Braxton's immediate eligibility. How does that affect your offense, and how do you see his role kind of building and growing over the season?
Yeah, no, it was good news to get Braxton eligible. He gives us some quality depth and versatility. You know, Braxton is a player that can be a 3 or a 4, and just his experience, having played 2 years for Avery at Alabama, playing in, big games in an NCAA tournament, all those experiences are very valuable because we have guys that have some experience, but probably our depth is unproven, and so whenever you have a player that has that, I think that'll be helpful. And as anything, he'll continue to evolve and get a feel for his teammates. But we're glad he's here, and it's good news for us for him to receive the waiver.
We'll come down to our right first with Frank, third row, then we'll come second row. So to the right at the aisle.
Thank you. Frank Maloney, Fox Sports 910, Richmond, Virginia. Coach, I've asked you this almost every year over the last 10 years. Will this be the year that maybe you push the ball up the court more than usual now that you have so many big men and so many guards?
Yeah, I'm going to let Jack bring it up, and we're going to propose a 15-second shot clock. I think that should be the next rule change. I mentioned that at the round table, and absolutely. No, I think every year you just try to find ways that are unique to your team that give you a chance to be successful. And if we do have some big guys, in all seriousness, Jack runs the floor very hard, and some guys that can run the floor, so probably more opportunistic. If I sit here in front of you and say, hey, we're gonna try to run on every make and be like a Carolina or some of the teams in our league, that wouldn't be accurate, but always opportunistic. And it's always about decision making, good shot selection and decision making. If you push and there's something good that's there, so be it. But if not, it's a feel. Sometimes you need to work the ball and do it. But those baskets, if you can get some off of turnovers or big guys running, are important. So it's hard to believe it's 10 years, but you have asked that question every year, so thanks for asking it again. Good job, Frank.
Right in front of Frank, we'll keep it on the aisle, right at the edge.
Caroline Darney with SB Nation, streaking the lawn. Coach, and then Jack, your opinion on this as well. You look at some of the new players coming in, specifically Braxton Key, now that he has eligibility, Jay Huff and Clark. How have they progressed defensively from where you like to have people when they see more playing time on the court? And Jack, how have you been able to help some of the big men develop defensively now that Isaiah's gone and you have to pick up a little bit more of that slack?
I mean, Isaiah was a guy I looked up to and tried to learn as much as I could from him. So over the time I was with him, I was trying to learn, watch film with him, and I'm just trying to pass that knowledge on to the younger guys. So Braxton coming in his first year here, it's tough to get acclimated straight away, but he's been trying really hard, and Jay I've been trying to give him advice as much as possible. So those are two guys in my position that I try to help out as much as I can.
Yeah, I think Jack, Isaiah, from the front court players and overall, was really a vocal leader defensively and held the guys accountable, and I think that's going to be a great opportunity and challenge for Jack to kind of not let that slide. We still have work as a whole group defensively to keep working and improving, and that's just a process. That's not easy, but I think Jack's voice and his heart and mind for it will be a real important piece for our defense. Those other guys that you mentioned, the newer guys or younger guys, it's a process. We kind of do the younger players, we have our older players, we have a little exercise we do, but they always say, I can remember when I first got here and feeling a little overwhelmed at times, and the challenges of being either a first year in our program or new, and everybody kind of has it and how challenging that is. So the ability to just encourage them but make it hard for them and challenge them, and not give any wiggle room but not destroy them in terms of what you're trying to get defensively, because that has been a very important aspect for us.
Kyle, presumably it's the first time you've walked into this building since March. How much do you keep with you what happened to him last season, and how much do you just try to pack it away?
Yeah, I think for me it's never forgetting it, but definitely trying to move past it to where I'm not hanging my head on it. I think it's taken me a little bit longer than some of the other guys, but that's just because I'm a I'm an emotional kid, and I'm real passionate about things, and that cut me real deep. But Coach said something last night when we were meeting with him and Jack, and he said that courage is not the absence of fear; it's moving forward in the face of fear. And I think that's something that I'm going to hold on to for the rest of my life. And just, I think one of the greatest things and why I wanted to be here so bad was because it was in the same arena. And I think that, this is the best way for me to face my demons.
We'll go back to Frank here in the third row against the aisle.
Thank you. This question is for Kyle. It seems to me that last year against VCU, you demonstrated a sequence of moves, and it's almost like somebody opening a new Swiss Army knife. All of a sudden, it was the dribble hesitation jump shot, the dribble penetration pass, the dribble spin around, almost falling out of bounds, wave to the fans, sell popcorn, make a three. What have you worked on between that time to make your game even better this year?
Yeah, I'm a big proponent on expanding my game in all areas. So I'm known for my jump shot, and I still try to make that as consistent as possible. And Coach stays on me about that. Just trying to stay aggressive and make sure that I'm working on all areas, whether it's creating off the dribble for somebody else or for myself, defensively, anything. Just always trying to hold myself accountable and get a little bit better each day.
Jack, when you look at your teammate in Kyle, he doubled his point production from his freshman year to a sophomore year, and not thinking that he's going to double it again this year to 28 points. There is an elevation in his game. What do you see as the experience, the elder statesman of this group? What do you see about Kyle's game that you like?
Yeah, like he said, he's always been a good shooter, but he's worked on taking it to the basket strong. He's good at finding people. He's just a great teammate to play with. And just the ability for him to be able to knock down the outside shot. And now he's added to be able to take it strong into the lane. And whether it's a float, dish, or a strong take to the rim, he's really, really worked on that.
Bob Holliday back here to our right, second row.
Question for Coach. Your defense has been very constant through the years. Last year was one of your best offensive seasons. How much more difficult is it to defeat the style that Virginia plays when the ball is going in?
Yeah, I think that's the case with anybody, but if we can always be solid and start with the defensive end of the floor and make people earn to score against us, and then you accompany that with good offense and versatile offense, that's when we're at our best, and we've had our best games, best years. But there are always times where offense can come and go, and it's trying to, can your defense be constant? Because that can sometimes keep you in games or win you games when the offense doesn't show up. But neither of them are easy to perfect. But I like the versatility of this year's team offensively, and I think there's some good things there that hopefully will show this year, and that will show the diversity of the team and just different looks.
To our left, second row.
So I have two questions, if that's okay. First for Jack, talking about some of your fellow post players, Mamadi and Jake. Jay Huff, excuse me. How would you compare and contrast your game with their games?
Jay and Mamadi are both good shooters. They shoot from the outside. I prefer playing on the inside, but they can both also play on the inside. I think Mamadi's really athletic. When he's making strong moves, he's really hard to guard in the post. And then Jay can stretch the floor out as a five-man, which has been tough to guard in practice. But I think we all work pretty hard. Still a lot of room to go on the defensive end and offensive end, but I think it's a good group of guys.
And Kyle, we heard Coach talk about Braxton's experience and how he will affect this offense. We saw in the scrimmage he was really fluid. He looked like a good distributor. How do you think his presence is going to affect the offense this season?
Yeah, I think he has a really good feel for the game, and I played with and against him in AAU and on the circuit, and at camp, so I saw this firsthand, and I think he's a very good passer, actually. Sometimes he predetermines things before he does them, but he's really active on the rebounds, and offensive rebounds also. He's a strong kid. He's actually pretty athletic, and I think, once he completely buys into it defensively, he could be a nightmare.
Let's go back to our right, second row at the aisle.
Kyle, with Devin graduated, Ty's going to pick up a lot more of that main point guard role. What do you like about his game and how he's developed, and do you think he'll end up passing you the ball more now?
Yeah, sorry, that caught me off guard. He's probably the best leader one of the best leaders in terms of vocalizing and communication. Sometimes he likes to talk a lot and doesn't really say much, but he's, tremendous to be in the backcourt with, and, we can finish each other's sentences when we're on the court together, and I think that's big that we have that chemistry. So, he's probably one of the best point guards in the country.
Back to Bob Holliday to our right.
How does the pack line defense use the skills of Jack and Diakite? And then conversely, how does it help the overall effectiveness of the defense to have players with their defensive skills?
Yeah, I think size. Jack is so willing to come across and help, and he's so physical. Physicality is important in the defensively, especially same with Maloney. Sometimes they can, whether it's blocking a shot or just if there's a breakdown on the perimeter, they can clean up a lot of stuff. But just their willingness. Their willingness to stay down, to work, to understand how valuable that is for us, that they learned from guys like Isaiah, that Isaiah learned from Akil and so forth. I think those guys are pretty clear in the value of it and how important it is and how continuous they have to be. So when you have size and length, and I know the game a lot of times is 4 guards now or 4 out, but Maloney has that mobility. It's important, but Jack's physicality, offensively and defensively, is a significant factor in our effectiveness on D.
Coach, from the podium here, Charlotte has a bit of another meeting in that you lost Ron Sanchez to lead the department or to lead the program with the 49ers. What's it going to be like for you to look down the bench and not see his face there?
Yeah, Ron's a dear friend, and I couldn't be happier for him to, have this position at UNC Charlotte. But we have a great staff, and there's always been continuity in our staff, and we've added. I moved Orlando Vandross up and added Kyle Getter. So our staff is very strong. But, Ron, to me, was a great coach. He actually was at Indiana, and my sister was the head women's coach. But he was with me all those years at Washington State for the last 15 years or whatever it's been. So you're losing a friend, someone that understands things. So that's the part I'll miss the most. But it was time for him, and he had turned down some other jobs, but I couldn't be happier for him. And I think he's going to do some good things. It'll take him time, but he's a special one for sure, and will be missed.
Back to Frank at the aisle, third row.
Coach, I remember distinctly during your first season at Virginia, you kept your smile on your face, you kept speaking positively, and now you've come with the program so far. You look at the number of wins, it's astronomical. 100 and, I can't even read, the font's too small. But it's, averaging basically 30 wins over the last 5 years. How do you keep the program steady now and moving forward? And how do you reset expectations every year? And how do you keep your staff together, almost intact from the beginning?
I just think I've been fortunate to recruit players that are, I don't know if sneaky good is the right word, but they're better than people realize. They're really good players, and they develop, and they work, and they love the game, and they love to play together, and they embrace the fact that, we're Virginia, and we're still trying to knock on that door and do something as special as we can. And I don't think we assume anything. I don't. I read a letter that actually was sent to Bobby Knight way back after he had a tough loss in the tournament. They had, I think, an undefeated year. Claire B. wrote him a letter. Someone sent it to me. And it was the idea of being strengthened by the very blow that cuts you down. But the premise of it is we're going to run to the starting line. This is a new team this year. This is a different team. And so many people want to say, well, okay, you got to get back. You got to vindicate yourself or validate that, what happened. No, this is about us running to the starting line of the season and taking it absolutely as far as we can possibly go. And it's about growing from last year's unbelievable success and growing from last year's very humbling loss and using it to help us respond and be better. And that's the reality of why this team, great coaches, great assistant coaches, probably an okay head coach, but your staff makes you look really good, I'll be honest. Players that are very good. They're so much better than people give them credit for, and they develop. And then a willingness to know that you got to go get it. And we don't think we're better than we are. We don't think we're worse than we are. We just show up and try to be as good as we can and use the experiences that have happened. It was such a unique year last year. And we've talked about that. And we know that's going to be in our face how it ended, but it was historic in terms of the success that was taken from it. So taking that, but realizing these guys, we're united in what we're pursuing. That's one of our things we're talking about, being united in our pursuit and going after it. Whether we get it or not, that'll remains to be seen, but we're going to go after it with everything we have, not assuming anything. And I think that's been one of the keys to why this program has gone that far. And I'm no dummy. I know it's also very good fortune and a blessing. It's a good gift that's come my way in success and in failure, but it's not from my own doing. I understand that it's been a gift, and that's how I choose to look at it.
Kyle, when you do come back to this building in March, what kind of team are you going to be bringing with you after 4.5 months of play?
I think we're going to be a very tenacious group this year, and I think that the open dialogue that we've had as a team and coaching staff that Coach Bennett has, not made us do, but allowed us to do, I think made us a closer group and also just better overall because we know we can trust each other. We know we've been vulnerable, and now we can, really move past and get to March again, which is the ultimate goal, and just, play our best and leave everything on the floor. I think that's, all we can do.
Bob Holliday will get our last question to our right. Second row.
Virginia, really more than any other school, has had the upper hand in the last 5 years in the ACC, certainly having a dominant season last year. Yet I think you would agree you've not translated the same success in the ACC to the NCAA. I'm just curious, and players' thoughts too, if you have any, as to why that is. Why has Virginia not been able to dominate the Michigan States as they have the North Carolinas and the Dukes?
Yeah, I think, we've been to an Elite Eight. We've been to a Sweet 16. We've usually advanced past the first round the years we've been in it, and then obviously we had the loss. So there's been some success, and I'm not trying to say I wouldn't take that away from what these guys have done. But the excitement, the beauty of the NCAA tournament is the one and done setting, and so much is about how you're playing. Of course, matchups, health, all those things come into play. But that's the goal, to have as great of a regular season and be fortunate enough to qualify for the NCAA tournament and then take it as far as you can. And so, I think it's a number of factors, and we've had chances. And again, here we sit, so we get another opportunity to start this year, to run to this starting line, not the finish line. But some really good teams we've played, and again, the beauty of the tournament.